talks over compilation of new voters register, with reports emerging of heated exchanges and near blows.
There were exchange of blows. Exchange of blows.
What?
The leader of the LPG had to carry a chair, and by the timely intervention of the Archbishop Amabaka, there would have been bloodshed.
Plus, the NDC's claims of an EC bombshell.
The bombshell the electoral commissioner presentation dropped was that the voter register will be ready by the 8th of November 2020. 3 weeks to elect, less than 1 month to the election. Then, of course, it means that this register cannot be used for election 2020. So we will say that this meeting indeed was inconclusive.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion, gas and cement, the nation builder, and Vodafone. The future is exciting. Ready. It was billed as a showdown, and boy, in the end, it did not disappoint. Not only did that much anticipated Electoral Commission meeting with political parties end in a deadlock, we now know it was heated, with reports now emerging of near exchange of blows that took the intervention of Archbishop Palmer Buckle, that is, to avert a fight. The positions taken by the EC remains unchanged, while members of the inter-party resistance against the new voters register are now more than ever committed to pursue a series of protests and other actions. Ahead of the meeting, the program's coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, Albert Ahim, predicted this outcome, that really the trend positions won't change. We'll hear from him shortly. But first, let's listen to the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, on what transpired in that meeting.
Independent presidential candidate of a previous election, who in our opinion did not have any status as far as IPAC is concerned, was allowed to make a presentation, while civil society organizations, which have always played a very important role in our electoral reforms, were denied opportunity to make a presentation. That one we think is very irregular. If it was an IPAC meeting, so-called, then IPAC means Inter-Party Advisory Committee. That is political parties and electoral commission. So independent candidates have no role. But we agreed to relax the rules from the beginning so that we could allow any stakeholder present to make their presentation. Unfortunately, after the independent presidential candidate made a presentation, the civil society group were denied the opportunity to make their own presentation. See that as it may, we have come to a very important conclusion. The Committee for Eminent Persons assured us that they have heard all the presentations. They believe that each side has made a very reasonable contribution, and so they are going to formulate their advice and then present it to the Electoral Commission with input from everything that has been said here. Apart from that, they gave the opportunity that their doors are still open to receive any memos, petitions, or any write-ups of any nature, so they can take all those into consideration when they are advising the Electoral Commission.
Well, the national chairman of the NDC, Samuel Fusampofo, also interacted with the media and raised concerns about the EC's timelines.
At the end of the day, what has come to light is that none of the issues that were raised spoke against the data of the Electoral Commission. So as far as we are concerned, all the other things that the Electoral Commission wants to do can be done without compiling a new data. Because we ask the Electoral Commission, technical person, whether the data is credible or not credible. And he could not tell us that the data is not credible. And then let me also put another issue out. That is a bombshell. The bombshell the Electoral Commissioner presentation dropped was that the voter register will be ready by the 8th of November 2020. 3 weeks to elect, less than 1 month to the election, then of course it means that this register cannot be used for election 2020.
So what next?
Because when filing of nomination and all other things takes place before 8th of November, and that you need a credible and current register as a basis for parliamentary and presidential candidates to file their nomination. And so their presentation shows clearly that time will not allow us to conduct a new register.
So there's no concept.
The operational challenges that are available is not feasible for any new register to be conducted, because if you are telling us that the register will only be ready for use by 8th of November, clearly then it means the election is being organized.
Saying that the register will be ready for use. They said they will finish the exhibition exercise on 8th of November. But there is a lag time between the completion of the exhibition exercise and getting the final register ready. And you need a final register before you can file nominations. And besides that, there's a requirement that every political party must have a copy of the register in whatever form 21 clear days before the election. And so you see where we are more challenged.
But you think the EC will go ahead anyway and compile a new register?
They haven't, no such indication has been given whether they are going ahead or not going ahead, because there was no consensus on that matter.
Let me say that there was clearly a disagreement between various technical experts who came. And so the Electoral Commission realized that the time allotted for the presentation and interrogation of the technical systems were not enough. And for that matter, had opened an opportunity for our technical team and other technical team to engage the Electoral Commission technical team to dialogue on the integrity of the process and how to forge the way forward. So we will say that this meeting indeed was inconclusive.
So that is the view from the NDC. What about the MPP? Well, in that meeting was Peter McMenu, the MPP's 2020 campaign, a member of the 2020 campaign team, who also attended the meeting. He says the commission must be allowed to carry out its mandate independently. According to him, those pushing the EC to change its decision want the commission to fail.
4 years ago, 2016, we went through the same mill. At the end of the day, we had a successful limited registration and ultimately a general election. Now we're going to have a new register. We have been consistent with our stand that we need a new register. So we still maintain our stand. And our stand is that the Electoral Commission, as President, former President Mahama said, must be given, we must express our views, but they have the constitutional mandate to take their own decision. All these full about, if the election fails, who is going to be blamed? Is it IPAC or the Electoral Commission? So what is it?
Your position
but some people, and I think I must add it, think that they must push for the elections to fail so that they can blame the Electoral Commission.
Why you accuse the NDC of trying to push the election?
I'm saying some people, the Commission must be allowed to do its work as former President Mahama said. And I stand by what he said. I think in 2016 we allowed the Electoral Commission to do its work. And I remember that time the media houses were asking me, and they kept asking me, if they don't do a new register, what will you do? So go and ask NDC, if they do a new register, what will you do?
I want to take you live now to the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. My colleague Parker Wilson is still there for us tonight. There's a lot still happening at the EC that I want to bring to you. But Parker, let's start with the aftermath of this meeting today. We've heard a lot of the NDC position. We heard from Peter McMenu, but that was before the meeting started. Have you heard anything more from the MPP side after the meeting?
Yes, Evans. I spoke to the Director of Communications for the party, Abobia Samoa, and he tells me that, first of all, there is no controversy as far as the compilation of a new voter register is concerned. the NDC is making the argument, but also making the argument. And in fact, in this meeting, it was abundantly clear that there should be the need for a voters register. Because according to, Yabodna Samoa, the EC made a very convincing argument as to why they need to compile a new register for the December election. And again, if you want to get into the game of numbers, 10 political parties are siding with the Electoral Commission. Only 6 are opposing it. So for him, there is no controversy. The EC should go ahead and compile the register. I asked him whether this meeting, perhaps, according to his government, had achieved the consensus that they needed. So in the first place, there was nothing about consensus to be achieved because already they know that the Electoral Commission is pushing or going ahead with the registration. So they are happy that at the end of the day, the Electoral Commission was able to convince all the stakeholders involved in the process and has been able to drag them along and advise them and perhaps appeal to their conscience as to if there should be a need for a new voter register.
Now, let's look at what indeed happened within the meeting itself. Was there any form that, I guess, tells us that the parties agreed on anything on the way forward? I mean, we know that they didn't agree, that the positions were entrenched. But what is really the way forward? Is there going to be another meeting? What is it? Do we know?
That is what the NDC is actually anticipating, and members of the coalition against the new register. They are anticipating that this process wouldn't be an easy one, and that there would be subsequent meetings because the advisory committee has asked them that they can file motions and petitions if there is a need, in case they think that there's something that the Electoral Commission should do. They can quickly draw the attention to it. But for a consensus on any of the matters, Evans, the political party tells me that wasn't achieved.
Let's talk about the reports we are hearing of near blows or actual blows that took the intervention of an archbishop. What else do we know about that? And who are the two people involved in this?
Right, so Evans, this is what happened according to the political party that I spoke to you. The EC or the committee gave the parties an opportunity to make their arguments. In fact, the parties claim that the EC was given 2 hours to put forward the argument. That's when they made the presentation and talked about the need for the register and the cost and all of that. Now, political parties were just given only 10 minutes. They understood. They wanted the whole process to be flexible. So, they admitted to it. Now, going forward, they thought that civil society groups who have been very instrumental in our elections will be given the opportunity to present or make their case on the subject. But interestingly, the committee and the Electoral Commission did not allow the CSOs to make their presentation, but rather gave the opportunity to an independent candidate, the 2016 independent candidate, popularly known as Joy who we don't know as to whether he will be going for another election or as a candidate in this election. So that was when the parties started raising concerns that, in the first place, Mr. Jacob Osayabwa has no locus to even be in this meeting because he is not the party chairman. He doesn't represent any party. He's only a former candidate of the election. So perhaps in going forward, he should have rather been a candidate before joining this conversation. But anyway, it is fine. So if you have allowed him to make a presentation, in the same vein, allow the CSOs who have been very instrumental in our election to also make their presentation. So that was where the problem started and it became a heated argument. I understand that there was a lot of controversy. So the founder and leader of LPG, Kushataru, I understand, it's been alleged actually that he sought to attack the General Secretary of APC, and it took the intervention of Archbishop Palmer Bakio to calm tension and to admonish them that they are here in the interest of the nation and not their parochial interest. Whatever they do here, at the end of the day, Ghana should be pledged victor. So they should put aside their differences and focus on the substance of the matter.
And indeed,
so that's how it happened.
And indeed, we're hearing from the NDC's Deputy General Secretary, who actually goes further to say it actually turned into blows. Listen to his account of it because he was in the meeting as well.
It took Archbishop Palmer Battle to separate them. That was the lowest point. Yes, it took Archbishop Palmer Battle, and he actually said that if indeed the good God invites him today, he knows that at least he was able to stop a bloodshed at the meeting. And
what triggered the fight and the confusion?
The leader Akpalu, the leader of the LPG, and the general secretary of the AP. In actual fact, it was an attack. It was an attack. It was an attack from the LPG leader on the APC general secretary.
What triggered this confusion?
It was the disagreement about the time given to political parties, the fact that CSOs were not allowed to make any comment, and the fact that the technical responses that they were giving, which required technical response from those who had asked the questions, were not allowed. So it brought about exchanges, and that led to the confusion.
When you say fight, what do you mean?
There were exchange of blows. Exchange of blows. The leader of the LPG had to carry a chair, and by the timely intervention of the Archbishop Palmer Battle, there would have been bloodshed. And he made that point. He made that point in his conclusion that even if God invites him today, he knows that at least today he has been able to achieve something. He was able to stop a bloodshed, and that is the level the discussion went. The misunderstanding, the disagreement, and the imperviousness of the Electoral Commission has led to the heightened tension, and we think that is most unfortunate. This fight, all came about because the political parties, for example, APC, were saying that you cannot come and give us 10 minutes. You give the Electoral Commission 2 hours. Then we raise critical questions. You call them to come and respond, and you will not give us right of rebuttal. So that brought the disagreement, and there were some few exchange of blows.
But how was the result?
But they were separated. They had to call reinforcement from the police.
Okay.
The LPG leader and some leaders of the APC.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
But the point was
so that is the account of the NDC Deputy General Secretary talking about carrying of chairs and actual exchange of blows. But Parker, we're also learning that the Electoral Commission and its advisory committee are still now in some form of a meeting. What more do we know?
The chairman of the advisory committee just stepped up on the meeting. The meeting has ended, so he's here with me briefly, sir. So good evening and many thanks for your time. You've been speaking to the EC. Please, what has been the outcome, sir? Evans, he has declined to the interview. He says that I should speak to the Electoral Commission and that they will issue a communication. The members of the advisory committee do not want to speak to us at the moment, and they are all referring me to the Electoral Commission. I should go speak to the Electoral Commission. But this particular meeting was after the conversation they had with the political parties to advise the Electoral Commission on the next line of action. So what we don't know is whether the Electoral Commission has been admonished to abandon the completion of the voters register or has been encouraged to continue with the process. But of course, we'll be hearing from the Electoral Commission soon on this matter.
So we're expecting some form of a statement or a press conference of a sort by the EC to address the issues as to how they themselves, recount what happened in the meeting?
I'm told that they will be issuing a communique to that effect. So very soon the Electoral Commission will issue a communique and tell us the next line of action as far as the completion of the new register for the December election is concerned.
And what do we know about the security arrangement for today? Because you hear reports, we just heard from the Deputy General Secretary that police had to be called in. I'm assuming that this was a heavily policed meeting.
I thought I dismissed earlier or this morning there was heavy security presence, Evans. In fact, ordinarily, if you are walking to the Coconut Grove, you would realize that there are only 2 private security who have been employed by the authorities of this hotel to man the gates. But for today, at the gate alone, I counted 6 police officers. And if you get into the hotel itself, almost about 10 police officers were also parading, monitoring what's going to happen. Then at the entrance where the Electoral Commission and the political parties were having a meeting, also 6 police officers were stationed there. And I am told that the Electoral Commission picked up information that a group of individuals were going to mass up and foment trouble. That is the reason why they have to beef up security to maintain law and order in the event that some people mass up to cause confusion or disorder. But for now, the police have all gone. They've left. Now it's just the Electoral Commission and the eminent bodies who are also leaving at the moment.
Well, that is my colleague Parker Wilson there at the Electoral Commission, and we are waiting the communique from the Electoral Commission. The last time there was a communique from an IPAC meeting was very controversial as well. The parties came forward to say they do not recognize the contents of that, and so it'll be interesting to see what is the way forward after today's deadlock. 2 sides pretty much entrenched. That communique should come in. You probably will hear it on Joy 99.7 FM first if it comes within the hour when we're approaching news night shortly. So we're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to be speaking shortly with some of the individuals who were part of this particular meeting just to get a feel of what they themselves believe could be the way forward. One of the groups that were invited for today's meeting, the independent group, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, participated in the meeting. Listen to its national coordinator, who himself used to be a former EC director, Albert Ahin.
I expect that the 2 opposing groups will listen to good counsel coming from the eminent people, and that at the end of the day, we'll find a permanent solution to this impasse. It is going to be difficult because the 2 sides have taken entrenched positions, and you know that entrenched positions are very difficult to uproot. It's difficult, but let's give it a chance. I believe that with good counseling and people being very tolerant with each other and listening to each other for explanations and whatever, maybe if we are lucky, we'll come out.
There are those who have suggested that the EC's posture is quite worrying because even before this meeting, they had openly announced the date for the compilation of the voters register. So this meeting in itself defeats the purpose of trying to resolve the matter.
It is, you see, but let us also not forget the fact that, and like Kodiro once said, this meeting should take into cognizance the fact that this is a body that has been mandated by law, by constitution, to undertake its activities. So maybe it is behaving on those lines, being the fact that they have the mandate to conduct elections, and so they will not allow maybe anybody to dictate to them. That is what maybe they are thinking. The deliberation here should be in such a way that at the end of the day, everybody should be satisfied. If you are going to proceed to do the registration, you should do it and do it well. If it comes up that they are not supposed to do it, then of course a compromise will be found.
So we are calling for a compromise at the end of the day?
Yeah, at the end of the day.
Well, that was Kodeo just before the meeting. That compromise we know did not happen. We would try and get a bit more from some of the individuals who participated in this meeting, just to get a sense of where we go next from today's meeting, which produced a deadlock. It's a live here on Top Stories on Joy 99.7 FM. Stay with us.
Protective of our guardian right. our passion. Free no day, for Vodafone, Vodafone Cash, send money for free.
There are no charges or deductions when you send money on Vodafone Cash. Just dial *110# to send any amount of money as many times as you like to any Vodafone number for free.
Who's free no day?
The future is exciting. Ready?